Both the NBA and college have played a significant number of basketball games, which makes the 2019 NBA draft that much easier to project. For one thing, we now have a pretty good sample size to judge this year's freshmen. No longer are they recruiting against other high school players, we've seen them when the lights have been on, in big games and clutch situations, and had a chance to gauge their games against other college players. And for the other, we have a much better idea what the NBA standings could look like. With that in mind, ESPN released its most recent 2019 NBA mock draft, using the site's Basketball Power Index to project which NBA teams will be picking where. And that makes for some interesting draft debates. The Cleveland Cavaliers have yet another no. 1 overall pick here, but how could the Phoenix Suns continue their build? What's next for teams like the Chicago Bulls or New York Knicks? Who's no. 1 is always a fun discussion, but who's the next overlooked player who could become a star outside of the top 5 or 10 picks, like Greek Freak did? See which players are projected to go where in ESPN's newest NBA mock draft. At his best, Paschal is a versatile 4/5 candidate who can attack outside and at 6'8" and around 250 pounds. He's shooting almost 39% from 3, gets to the free throw line at a decent rate and even has some passing ability. 29. San Antonio Spurs, via Toronto, Admiral Schofield, SFPF, Tennessee, 6'6" and 241 pounds. Schofield is a fun player to try and project to the next level. He's shooting 47.3% from behind the arc, averaging 17.7 points, 6.3 rebounds and 2.8 assists per game, and he's taken over some big games in key spots for this year's Volunteers. 28. Indiana Pacers, Grant Williams, PF, Tennessee. One of the toughest inside players in the nation, Williams combines a powerful 6'7", 236-pound frame and basketball IQ. He's a highly capable passer out of the post, though his NBA future could depend on his ability to defend at a high level. Williams is basically averaging 19 points, 8 rebounds and 4 assists per game for one of the nation's best teams. Some feel there will only be one international player taken in the first round, but the 6'11" Samanik could be the second if he sneaks in. Samanik combines great height with a good athleticism, versatility and a projectable outside shot. 26. Brooklyn Nets, via Denver, Kobe White, PG, SG, North Carolina's number 3 shooting guard and no. 25 overall player in the 247 Sports Composite, the 6'5" White has played a scoring point guard role for the Tar Heels, averaging 14.2 points and 3.6 assists per game. When his outside shot is on, there are few better scorers in the freshman class. 25. Golden State Warriors, Ayo Dosunmu, PG, Illinois. Ayo Dosunmu is a good-looking combo guard with great size for the point guard position at 6'5". The number 3 combo guard and number 32 overall player in the 247 Sports Composite, Dosunmu is averaging 13.6 points and 2.8 assists per game, shooting 39.7% from 3. 13 small forward and no. 57 player in the 247 Sports Composite, Horton Tucker plays a lot bigger than his listed 6'4", 233-pound size thanks to a shocking 7'1" wingspan. Horton Tucker has had a strong start to his freshman year, putting up 12.3 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 2.9 assists and showing nice versatility. 23. Philadelphia 76ers, Brandon Clark, PF, Gonzaga mega athlete at 6'8". Clark was outstanding at San Jose State but is now doing it on a much bigger stage. The bouncy Clark emerged on the national scene with 17 points and 6 blocks in the Bulldogs' win over Duke, but he's done it on a night-in, night-out basis with 17.0 points, 8.2 rebounds and 3.2 blocks per game. 22. Houston Rockets, Trey Jones, PG, Duke. One of the unfortunate parts of Jones' AC joint injury is that the number 3 point guard and no. 15 overall player in the 247 Sports Composite seemed to improve by the game. Jones is a classic team runner with an unbelievable 5.7 to 1 assist-to-turnover ratio who excels at supplying on-ball pressure. The 6'10" Gafford could have left after his freshman year and probably would have been a first-round pick. But his stock has stayed mostly solid, with Gafford upping his production to 17.0 points, 9.3 rebounds and 2.1 blocks per game. 20. San Antonio Spurs, Luguentz Dort, SG, Arizona State. The No. 5 shooting guard and No. 30 overall player in the 247 sports composite. Dort has excelled as a freshman with 17.1 points per game, though his outside shot has come and gone. At 6'4" and 215 pounds, Dort already has an NBA body. 19. Portland Trail Blazers, KZ Okpala, SFPF, Stanford. This could wind up being too low for the super long combo forward, who seems to be shooting up draft boards. The 6'9" sophomore is shooting a terrific 47.9% from 3 and averaging nearly an 18-7 while doing so. At 6'8" with a 7'3" wingspan, Kentucky's low-post maestro could even play a small ball 5 at the next level. Right now he fades a bit in and out too much, but he's a capable scorer and at times dominant rebounder who has defensive and ball-handling potential. Washington has shown flashes in putting up at 12 to 8 per game this year, most notably as a shooter, albeit on a small sample size. 17. Miami Heat, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, PG, SG. Virginia Tech scouts were enamored with Alexander-Walker heading into his freshman year as a potential combo guard with creation abilities. But any who fell off the bandwagon are likely back on, as Alexander-Walker more than doubled his assist rate, is shooting 43.5% from behind the arc and scoring 17.9 points per game. And he's doing it while bringing a 6'6" frame with a 6'9" wingspan to boot. With NBA teams looking for post players who can stretch the floor, Porter, the younger brother of Michael Porter Jr., remains in demand despite his season-ending knee injury. At 6'11" and 235 pounds, Porter has the measurements of an NBA center, but he's arguably more comfortable playing outside and shooting 36.4% from 3 as a freshman. That combination of size and skill could see him find a spot in the lottery. 15. Charlotte Hornets, Bol Bol, C. Oregon Bol is one of the most intriguing outlier talents in this draft. Manute Bol's son and the #1 center and No. 4 player in the 247 sports composite. Bol has tremendous height, 7'2", and length, and uses that like his father did to destroy opponents' shots. He's also a presence on the glass, but what makes Bol interesting is that he's a terrific outside shooter, 52% from 3, and has some ball-handling ability. A season-ending injury pushed him down here from a potential top 10 spot, but there are also worries that his listed 235-pound frame isn't equipped to add positive weight and strength. Don't be surprised if this is way too low, as his combination of prototypical size, 6'11", 7'4" wingspan, and unreal athleticism is likely to attract NBA eyes in the top 10 of a not-so-hot draft. Hayes has all the potential to be a modern big man with his rim protection, his ability to rebound, his giant hands and his rim running ability. Few big men in this class, if any, are as quick rolling to the basket. Already outplaying his ranking as the number 105 player in the 247 sports composite, Hayes is still incredibly raw, but is oozing with potential. Hachimura's versatility and potential to impact the game in several phases has had him on NBA radars for quite a while. And that was before the powerful 6'9", 230-pounder who can play on the wing started hitting 41% of his threes. He's making less than 1 per game, though. Hachimura is at his best when he's on the attack, drawing 6.5 fouls per game and earning trips to the free throw line. And while he isn't there defensively yet, some NBA team will fall in love with his ceiling on that end as a multi-positional defender and a possible 4 or even 5-man in today's NBA. Speaking of multi-positional defenders, they don't come in this class better than Hunter, the best wing stopper in the class. He has all the requisite athleticism to defend other wings at 6'8" and 225 pounds, but he also has the length and power to shut down opposing post players. If that was all Hunter did, he'd be a catch. But after excelling as a sixth man a year ago, Hunter is making 44.4% of his three-point attempts and even has a nice assist rate for a wing. Add in that Hunter can attack the basket and get to the free throw line, and he doesn't necessarily project as a star at the next level, but an extremely valuable piece. Porter has the look of a lottery pick both physically, he's 6'6" and 218 pounds, and from a skill standpoint, where he's one of the more creative attackers in this class. And when he's played, he's looked pretty good, averaging 10.7 points per game. But the number 4 shooting guard and no. 28 player in the 247 sports composite hasn't played much, logging just 7 games so far. His most recent absences have been via an indefinite suspension for conduct issues. That's the kind of stuff that could push Porter out of the lottery, despite his talent. Doumbouya is the consensus no. One international prospect and, at this point, the only one who appears guaranteed to go in the first round. The 6'9", 209-pound Doumbouya could be a high-level defender as he fills out, and he has enough offensive potential to impress scouts. 247 Sports' Evan Daniels and Josh Gershon saw him at Basketball Without Borders, writing that, he's a high-level athlete who displayed an impressive motor throughout the camp. Offensively, Doumbouya is tremendous in transition, due to his ball skills, athleticism and effort. He has a smooth stroke, and can shoot out to 3, while he's also a plus passer. Doumbouya's size, length, athleticism, motor and toughness also make him a versatile defender. His ceiling is extremely high. Kentucky started the season with 3 returning sophomores, added a senior graduate transfer who was all Pac-12 and brought in 5 freshmen, 4 of whom were 5-star players. And yet Johnson, the number 3 small forward and number 13 overall player in the 247 sports composite, has been Kentucky's leading scorer. At 6'6" and 211 pounds, Johnson has the power to be dominant on the drive and the athleticism to excel in transition. And his jump shot, he's making 38.9% of his three-pointers, has been even better than expected. Perhaps Johnson's greatest attribute is that he's considered a dogged competitor with a nasty streak. Culver was a pretty good player as a freshman, only to have his first year overshadowed by the meteoric rise of teammate J.R. Smith. Smith went from off the radar to just outside the last NBA draft's lottery, and now it could be Culver's turn. At 6'6", Culver is a key piece of the nation's best defense, and he impacts the game in about 20 different ways. He's averaging 18.7 points, 6.4 rebounds and 4.0 assists per game, playing as a secondary creator in the Red Raiders' motion offense. And with Texas Tech's poor offense at times, Culver has had plenty of experience of having to carry a major burden, making his numbers, and his 38% three-point shooting, that much more impressive. One of the first players in this draft class to suffer a season-ending injury, Garland went down 2 minutes into the season's 5th game. But he probably did enough in those 4 full games to win a spot in the top 10, putting up 19.8 points, 4.8 rebounds and 3.3 assists per game while making 47.8% of his three-pointers. That makes the 6'3" Garland phenomenally attractive and likely one of the top 2-point guards in the draft. And that matches up with his recruiting position of the no. 2-point guard and the number 14 overall player in the 247 sports composite. The scary part about projecting Langford is that it's hard to take a scoring wing player without an outside shot. Langford is making just 23.8% of his three-pointers, casting some doubt on that part of his game. But he's one of the nation's best finishers around the rim, shooting an unbelievable percentage and piling up free throws. He draws nearly 7 fouls per 40 minutes. At 6'6", Langford looks like an NBA wing and has the length and smooth athleticism of a prototype wing. That's why he was ranked as the no. 2 shooting guard and no. 7 overall player in the 247th Sports Composite. The number 2 player in the 247th Sports Composite, Reddish has been the number 3 option on a stacked Duke team. And that has stopped him from getting a chance to show his full range of ability, turning him largely into a 3-and-D type player. But that's a pretty solid base to have as an NBA prospect. A long 6'8" wing who can defend multiple positions, has shown an aptitude for generating steals and has a sweet stroke. Reddish also brings some creation and ability off the bounce that he hasn't gotten to show in Durham. Only adds to his level of projectability, if he can show that in workouts. Looking for a player who puts up the most ridiculous numbers in college basketball? That could be Ja Morant, who has shot up draft boards like a firework. The sophomore is averaging 23.1 points, 10.7 assists and even 6.3 rebounds per game, and while his three-point shot hasn't been great at just under 31%, the 6'3" Morant has been a strong free throw shooter, showing some potential projection there. Morant is explosive, multi-talented and exciting to watch, and if he can cut down on the turnovers, 5.3 per game isn't the best look. Even if it does still leave him with a better than 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, he could really be something. Those who are fans of Little's game likely will point to his effort in Tuesday night's win over Notre Dame, where he scored 11 points, including several of them down the stretch. Little has been a solid sixth man for the Tar Heels, even if he hasn't produced, or gotten the court time, that people would have wanted to see from a top 5 pick. Number 2 small forward and no. 3 player in the 247th Sports Composite. Little is a powerful combo forward at 6'6" and 220 pounds who is averaging 9.8 points per game. His effort level is still high, and as he showed against Notre Dame, at his best, he can change a game. The former no. 1 player in the 247th Sports Composite. Barrett has been terrific this season, though he's drawn some criticism for hunting his own shot too much, like when he took 30 shots against Syracuse. But that's who Barrett is. He's an alpha scoring wing who always feels like the next shot is going in, even if that's to a fault. And he's a less selfish player than he gets criticized for. In the game where he took 30 shots, he also had 9 assists, and his assist rate is really strong for a wing player. If Barrett can improve his three-point shot, look out. Forget the dunking, as spectacular as it is, for a minute. From a statistical perspective, Williamson is one of the best college players we've seen since advanced metrics began measuring college basketball players. The 6'7", 285-pound Williamson has the highest player efficiency rating in college basketball history, and his numbers go into the absurd when they're projected over 40 minutes. Those per 40 numbers: 31.6 points, 14.1 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 3.0 steals and 2.8 blocks. Those last 3 numbers are important, because while everybody knew Williamson could score and rebound, he's shown the vision and ability to make the tough pass, and he's emerged as one of the biggest impact defenders in the nation.